was an old softy when it came to dealing with his son. And I think so much of it is the sort of psychological baggage that he had from his appalling relationship with his own father.
Desperate not to repeat his father's neglect, Churchill had helped turn his son Randolph into a spoilt and bitter man. Their relationship reached a low point on one of Churchill's many cruises aboard Aristotle Onassis' yacht, the Christina.
All three generations were there, my father, my grandfather, and myself. After dinner, my father, well tanked up on Scotch whiskey, went into the attack verbally against his father and abused him.
It all was too much for Randolph. It suddenly came out, one boiling rage at dinner, with his father being perfectly polite to him, and him getting on well with everybody. Why did you do this and that, and why wouldn't you speak to me? And terrible. And Ari and I arranged for Randolph to leave the yacht from Corfu. I took him on shore. I kept him company. He was very silent, and I saw he was weeping. And he said, "It's so difficult, Anthony. I always loved that man. I can't get on with him."
Churchill's health was in sharp decline. A series of strokes and a broken hip left him immobile and withdrawn. A friend said, "The fight has gone out of it." In 1964, he resigned from Parliament.
He eventually had to stand down as MP for Woodford. And he was told that the local association wanted to select a younger man. He was not best pleased at all. And he said, "Oh, I shall go down and make them a speech." But of course, he was no longer up to going down and making them a speech. And so his days as a member of Parliament were at an end after 60 years. It was a moment of great sadness for him.
On his 90th birthday, crowds gathered outside his house in London. Ever the showman, Churchill greeted them. A month and a half later, he suffered a final stroke.
I was playing bezique with him, and he finished a hand, put the cards down, and he fell forward with his face on the card table. And I rang for the nurse, and I took his pulse, which was non-existent. I couldn't feel it at all. And then he revived a bit, and before they carted him off, because he couldn't walk, he said, in a very strong voice, took my hand again and said, "No more." And I think those were his last words.
Churchill died on the morning of the 24th of January, 1965, 70 years to the day after the death of his father. His life had begun at the height of the British Empire. His death coincided with its demise.
He said, "I remember I want lots of military bands at my funeral." He got 9.
"I am ready to meet my maker," Churchill had said. Whether my maker is prepared for the great ordeal of meeting me is another matter.
My mother and I and Sarah were in the first coach. The carriage had quite big, clear glass windows, so one could see very clearly people's faces. And people just were so